All right, Baldur's Gate enthusiasts, let's talk about gold, the importance of it in Baldur's Gate, where to get it, how to use it. And as always, in pushing up these Tactica to my Baldur's Gate playlist here on the channel, we are not going to give away any spoilers. We're not going to talk about specific item locations because I don't know where you are in the quest. And so much of this game is self-discovery, playing different characters, finding things out. But I want us to be open in terms of this Tactica to all possibilities, literally developing that checklist for points to keep in mind. Now, like most linear role-playing games, in a way to balance them out, and there's a lot of options in Baldur's Gate, of course, a lot of quests, but there is a main story, and that becomes apparent very, very quickly. In the beginning, gold is hard to come by. By the middle of the game, you have a good amount, and by the end of the game, you're so awash in gold from selling magic items, finding treasure, and literally picking up gold that you can essentially buy anything in the game. But at that point in the game, you're so close to the end, there's a lot of items that maybe you want to buy sooner, maybe to make the game easier, or perhaps just to try different builds and enjoy them. And there's going to be many items that at certain points in the game, it would have been nice to have and acquire them. So part of the game is how do we get gold as early as possible? Now, there's two ways to acquire magic items. And we're going to throw potions in there also because essentially that's the whole point of gold. There are various shops and NPCs that will sell magic items, and some of these items become available very early on in the game, and some of these shops only open up later in the game. And then there's also items that are acquired along the way by defeating named NPCs or finding them in dungeons. So one of the ways really early on, Baldur's Gate assigns a gold piece value to every magic item. Some are somewhat common. We're going to give away one magic item, like a dagger +1, short sword +1, long sword +1. It's a great magic item, but it's a lower level magic item, and the gold value is not that much. However, there are some magic items, no spoilers, that are worth a tremendous amount of gold in the game because they are going to allow you to break out of the stats or break out of the slots of your character. An example would be if I'm a cleric and there's a magic item that lets me cast one additional spell per day. That's a big deal, no matter what level it is, because it's taking the character class and the internal balance of the character class and essentially bumping it up by a spell. So Baldur's Gate says this item is worth this amount of gold. There are certain items like that where they're fun, they're going to boost your character, but they're not really that needed. I'm using this example as a boost to the cleric spell. You can gain your spells back after resting. Is it helpful to have one more spell in a fight? Possibly, probably, maybe, but it's not groundbreaking. Those items that boost your ability and break out of the character class, they sell for a massive amount of gold. And those items are hidden and sprinkled around in the game. So early on, if you can acquire some of these items, because for the most part, Baldur's Gate assumes you're going to get some lower level items. Then as you acquire, so you've got that short sword +1, you get a short sword +2, you're going to sell the +1 short sword. You're going to get a bunch of gems. You're going to get some scrolls that you've already scribed. You're going to sell those. You're going to get some pieces of jewelry. You're going to sell those. You're going to get some quest rewards, 250 gold, 500 gold. But it's going to allow you to buy certain items, but you're going to go into those stores mid-game and say, there's 5 named items that are really awesome. I have to pick one. That's how the game maintains that balance, where you're like, I want all 5. So what you see right away is these named items that are scattered about that are going to boost you. If you sell them, the internal balance of the game switches in, and you get a lot of gold. And the trade-off is, in my opinion, not overly significant. So I can't cast an extra bonus spell. That's okay. That slot is going to buy me a lot of other items. Now, this becomes also important based on the party size. So there's a resource of gold and lots of great ways to play Baldur's Gate. I do suggest for your first run through, play with the party, play with the NPCs. And there's no right or wrong NPCs to select because they have backstories and side stories and you have interactions. But you're equipping magic items, gear, across the entire range of the party. So your gold pool is a little bit diffused if you're playing with more NPCs. The way you get around that is to sell these things. The way you can increase your gold pool is by having less NPCs because then you have to equip less. So that's another possibility too. At some point you'll play solo or with just one sidekick, but I do recommend using a party. Another way to get gold, and there's a duality here. Potions break out of that effect also. And I'm talking about like a healing potion, but potions of speed, potion of invisibility, Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, which is the engine behind Baldur's Gate, it was kind of wonky at the time, where spell effects and boosts were limited to a magic user class. So the idea was anytime a magic item, a potion, consumable breaks out of that class or can replicate a class ability, it sells for a lot of gold. Not to mention certain potions like of magic resistance and other effects that make you immune for a moment. Now, this is where the challenge becomes interesting because these potions that make you immune to an effect in the game engine, they don't last very long, no spoilers, but there are certain fights that having the ability to block those things is a game changer. Doesn't make the fight auto win. If you don't have it, it doesn't make the fight impossible, but it becomes a lot more tactically challenging. One of the ways you get gold very fast is to sell these potions. They go for a tremendous amount of gold. So as you open chests and as you come across them, it is good to bank them possibly and wait for that moment when you might need them. But you could also say, look, I'll break through that moment by equipping some of these more powerful magic items and buying these magic items, selling those potions. What you have to balance is the fact that having these potions that will negate in-game mechanics for a short time, it does make a fight much easier, but even being easier, there's still challenging fights. And once you use that potion, it's gone. It's done. It's like take that gold and just get rid of it. Where if you sell the potions and bank the gold and then purchase magic items that are always in use, magic armor, clickies, other type of effects, they work a lot better because you're going to have that item indefinitely. We see this also with wands and other type of magic objects like that have a number of charges. I mean, that's how the D&D universe worked at the time. Selling those optimally, yeah, it's nice to have a wand of magic missiles or fireballs. Not really a spoiler because you find those early on and they're for sale and they're all over the place. But again, using them, the gold is gone. Sometimes it's better to sell those effect objects. Okay, that's not to say that potions are not important. One of the things I pushed up to the channel here under the Baldur's Gate playlist is understanding just how important potions are. They are, but if you're looking to acquire a lot of gold really fast, early on, so this way when you hit that mid-tier in the game, that midpoint, and some shops open up and you go in there and you go, whoa, look at these items. I don't even have enough gold to buy one. And then you have to adventure and move on. And then you finally can buy one, pick one. You'd rather go in there as soon as they're discoverable mid-game and say, I've got enough gold for 2. And then as the game advances, 3. Just to enjoy and take advantage of all the different magic items and objects that can be utilized.